I'll put this out because it's probably going to be a fruitless, hopeless warning, but pretty damn sure of it now. Trump is not what you think he is. And I originally thought, hey, this guy was buddy-buddy with the Clintons since at least 1992. Then in the last 2 or 3 years, he's all of a sudden turning against him. He used to say back when Bill Clinton was president that Bill Clinton was the greatest president we ever had. And back when Hillary Clinton was senator from the state of New York, he was saying she was a great senator. Now, he changed his tune in the last 2 or 3 years. And, you know, the argument is by, like, his attorney, whatever, Richard Cohen, whatever his name is, that, he could change his mind. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to tell you this. This kid is very much attuned to the type of animal this guy is. That's what he is. He's a hunter. I mean, that's what the hell are you going to call these corporate guys, man? But he's a bullshit artist, man. I know he is. And be that as it may, I didn't really think nothing really too bad after a while, because originally I thought he was a ringer for the Clintons. He was going to run third party. But then he signed this thing that said he wasn't going to run third party. Now he's talking like, hey, this wasn't the deal, talking to the Republican National Committee. They're going to come out and start making big spending against me, campaigns to freaking destroy me, and this wasn't the deal. I'm thinking, I already see what's going on here. Back in 1992, or maybe just go maybe back to 1991, Herbert Walker Bush, he was riding high on a victory from over Saddam Hussein. You know, Saddam Hussein was the one who's going to have the mother of all wars, and you know, the ground war was actually called the 100-hour ground war. You know, which was preceded by a massive bombing campaign for many months. But totally, you know, Schwarzkopf's plan, freaking General Schwarzkopf's plan, totally destroyed Saddam Hussein. And George Herbert Walker Bush was riding on a 90% popularity rating only several months before the election. The only way he can lose was to split his vote with Ross Perot, which he definitely was a ringer. Now let's turn back the clock to 1912. Teddy Roosevelt. This guy probably was not a conscious ringer to bring in Woodrow Wilson, which was the guy that basically let through the income tax amendment. He also signed off on the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Basically, right at the beginning of his presidency, right? Taft would have been the one to veto all that stuff, so it had to make Taft lose. Well, Teddy Roosevelt may not have been a conscious ringer, you know, against the powers that be in Wall Street, but they backed him, and he had a big ego. You know, he was the guy with, charging up San Juan Hill during the 1898 Spanish-American War. He was the guy that was the big game hunter in Africa, and he was the one. He got 20-something% of the popular vote. That was the highest ever a third party got. Teddy Roosevelt is immensely more charismatic and was far more charismatic, more popular, more stand-up guy, and also had plenty of political, experience on his resume before he even ran for president, unlike Trump. So Trump doesn't have a snowball's chance of winning on a third party. Period. Ross Perot, exploited all the stuff that George Herbert Walker Bush, and I'm going to get onto some of the stuff, how did Hillary could be winning this shit big time if Trump runs on a third party. I think it's a shoo-in. I think the whole thing's planned. This guy, I suspected it from the beginning, then I wasn't suspecting it so much because he's on the top of the Republican field. And now he's talking like he's being treated unfairly and all this kind of crap. I'm like, wait a minute. If he runs for a third party, it was planned from the day one. If you don't believe me, fine, you don't believe me. I understand these kind of yo-yos to the max. I also want to say something here. You know, I got the Confederate flag up behind me. And the reason I got that is that's the real flag of revolution against the corporate powers. That's the real flag of revolution against the kind of crap that came down later on. Now, Abe Lincoln, you know, I could discuss this a little bit, I guess. Abe Lincoln had good and bad in him. But basically, the guy was an opportunist. In the beginning, Abe Lincoln, just like every other freaking politician out there, in the beginning, Abe Lincoln, as an attorney, was defending the slave owners who were bringing their slaves back that escaped. But he found that not to be as lucrative, so he jumped to the other side. Actually, during the Civil War, the war between the states, the war of northern aggression, whatever you want to call it, Abe Lincoln only freed the slaves in the areas that rebelled. The state of like Delaware, for instance, was under the control of the Union, was the last state to abolish slavery. And Abe Lincoln would have never abolished slavery. He would have made slavery a permanent institution in the South if the Union was preserved. So he was just doing anything to preserve the Union, whatever which way, whatever works, you know. Guy wasn't what you think he was, but he got murdered for this reason. Not so much the the things they say in the history books, but he was bucking the banks. He was saying he actually was printing their own currency to finance the war, the government itself. He was not taking loans from the banks. He did the same thing that basically JFK did in the 1960s, 100 years later. One of the reasons he got assassinated too. Now, speaking of JFK, I'm going to jump around here a little bit because you got to get an overview on some of this shit. JFK, his son JFK Jr., remember when he was running for states? He was going to run for state senator of New York. And guess what happened? He had a plane crash and died. Which, I already know that was a Vince Foster freaking, murder. They said it was an accident in the case of JFK Jr. In the case of Vince Foster, they called it a suicide. But that's the type of stuff that happens around the Clintons. So she became senator of New York because she got an apartment in New York that made her eligible to run for senator, and then she lost her southern drawl all of a sudden. She talked southern when she was down in Arkansas, and she became senator, and then she became Secretary of State under a deal with Obama, right? So, because that was the deal. If she didn't try to freaking knock out Obama, because there was like Obama and Hillary were neck and neck back in 2008. And Soros, basically backed Obama. But the deal was she got to be Secretary of State. Now, she's making tones that she's going to abolish Obamacare. Right? Bullshit. She'll say anything. Just like all these stupid politicians. You got to remember, back when she was quote-unquote co-president under Bill Clinton, right, when Bill Clinton was around, she was pushing Hillary Care, they called it. Universal health care run, sponsored by the government and all this. Same type of stuff Obama's got. She's not going to abolish this shit. She's going to push it even harder. No doubt about it. Now, I'm going to tell you that this stuff is not about health care. It's about total control, man. They're going to own your ass. It's going to lead to a lot of different things besides what you suspect would be impossible today, including birthing rights of people and all this type of stuff, because they're probably going to get to the point where if everything's under government control, that even who and how people are created, even birth, maybe it'll be some other way in a lab, it'll be done by the government for various functions in society. It'll go to that extent. You're going to lose all your freedoms, man. Especially when they start coming out with Google cars. Everybody thinks that shit's a good thing. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. Matter of fact, if you do one slip up, for instance, if you don't do this right or do that right, they can suspend your driving privileges. They own your ass. So actually the way to fight these people is to just opt out of the system. Not totally, because you can. but as much as you possibly can. The more independent you are in every respect, the better off you are. That's why I do a lot of hands-on videos on how to do stuff. But Trump is talking like, yeah, I'm being treated unfairly. They're going to do a media blast against me and all this type of stuff. Talking third party. Definitely. If he does third party, and he's already talking at it now again, he's definitely been a ringer for Clinton all along. I don't give a shit what he said, during the last 2 years. Because he said so many different things, so many different ways over the last 20 years, you don't know where the guy stands. Just like Hillary Clinton. Oh, she's against Obamacare now. Oh, yeah, sure. And, I want to say something else. Don't get freaking focused in on Israel and the Jews so much, because the Jews don't own the whole earth. I think like if you're living in New York City, you might think that, because that's one of the stronger Jewish power structures, but they don't own the whole earth, because everybody right now, it seems to, on YouTube, almost everybody, or majority of people, seem to freaking think it's all this big Zionist conspiracy, and that isn't even true. If you're a Zionist, that means you're for, protection, establishment, and growth of Israel. I mean, what the hell's wrong with that? That's what the hell's Judaism. It's one of the tenets of Judaism, as far as I know, right? Nothing wrong with that. So how you go about it, right? But Hillary, she's going to say she's on the side of Israel, and I'll guarantee you she's not. She's on the side of Hillary. And it's a matter of, can she be controlled or not? And I'm thinking, maybe not. Maybe not. She does what the hell she wants. As a matter of fact, like her longtime girlfriend, Huma Aberdeen, she's going to be in an adjacent bedroom in the White House if she wins the election. That'll be the other co-president, a female that you didn't elect. Huma Aberdeen, Muslim Brotherhood lady. And Obama, like everybody that voted for Obama for pretty much, they thought they're getting the first U.S. black president. What they really got was not just a Kenyan, but that's not even as important. But they got a radical Muslim communist with, I'm laughing at that, like, right, with lineage that doesn't go back to the American blacks, goes back not just to Kenyan blacks, but to Muslim slave traders and owners. The exact opposite of what you freaking think you want. So I'm going to tell you, the only way to actually fight this is to be... I think we got a really good chance, because I'm going to tell you this. We can look at what happened to the American Indian, right? How the white man screwed them all up. Like, I'm white, right? But I'm saying is, what white man really did that? It's the white elitist. It's a certain type of white man. It isn't the guy that's out there that works hands-on and doing stuff. They're not out there trying to plot to freaking take over the human race, It's the guys that's on the top, right? But what actually screwed up the Indian more than anything was the diseases from the white man, which was like smallpox and measles. Don't think they got defeated because the white man totally outsmarted them, and they had all this power over them. Actually, it was biological. And actually, that's something you got to think about, too, with genetically modified foods and all other stuff. But I address a lot of those subjects and toxins and stuff and how to detox. But, we as a people in America are far more numerous than elite. But just, what happens is you get people that are probably even going to gravitate to Hillary Clinton because maybe they don't like Jeb Bush, who'll be on a Republican ticket. Donald Trump, they won't like him. And then Hillary Clinton is already saying two things that they might say, oh, maybe she's not so bad. She's going to abolish Obamacare, which is a lie. And number two, she says she's going to break up the big banks, the ones that are actually financing her. Bullshit. But, and then all she has to do is pick up some talking points from Trump, not go as far as he is, and then she'll get enough votes because the votes on the opposite side of her are going to be split between Jeb Bush and Trump. And I think, it makes me think that the Deagle.com prediction about the United States population going drastically down in GDP between now and 2025, maybe that'll be the case, because if Hillary gets in one, and this is assuming she freaking lives, because the bitch is getting pretty old, and she doesn't look healthy, neither does Bill, but if she gets in this time, she'd get in again, because she'd kill any kind of serious opposition. Because once she gets in the office of the presidency, man, you know what kind of power she's going to have then. She'll be able to screw everybody left and right. So I'm putting this out as a warning, because it's like, I swear, if I wish I was face to face to Trump, I'd be fucking calling him out on this third party shit, this talk he's talking right now. You don't really need Trump, because there's actually several candidates out there. Like, I know Scott Walker's out, and you got even Rand Paul. He's pretty good. That are kind of like have that flavor. And Ted Cruz. I mean, some people say, I don't like this one, that one. But they're basically kind of like, the more conservative type Republicans, which Trump is trying to play the game that he is. I don't think he is. I don't think he is at all. And, if he was trying to buck the whole deal with China and all this kind of crap, you know what? He'd be dead. He'd be dead. There's no doubt about it. He'd be dead. He ain't going to stop that shit. You want to stop the excess trade with China? Limit this, don't buy as much from China. You might have to buy some here and there, but, don't buy as much. Most of the time, you don't have to. If you look around. Go on eBay. Don't even go on, like, Amazon or, any of these big stores or anything. Don't look around for small vendors. We got the internet now we can use as a tool for even our shopping experience. You can buy from small independent American vendors. You don't need to go buy anything from China. I do as much as possible of that. Trump is not going to be able to freaking negotiate that deal or some shit with China and do all this kind of crap. He's not going to be able to. It's bullshit. He's not going to be able, one guy's not going to be able to change the whole system the way he's talking. And I think it is all talk. He's playing you. Because this third party thing is another Ross Perot setup. I liked what Ross Perot was saying, but I realized he was a setup back then. Ross Perot didn't run 1992 and 1996. Bill Clinton would have been a name you never heard of. And considering that Trump has been friends with Bill Clinton and that said he was the greatest president that ever was for many, many years, and all of a sudden he changed his tune, and he doesn't even really criticize Bill, he criticized Hillary, but he also said before, when Hillary was state senator from New York, she was a very, very good senator, and now he's changing his tune. Hey, he's got the right to change his mind, and Hillary's changing her tune about Obamacare, even though she was the one that initially put in Hillary Care, and she's changing her tune about, I'm going to break up the big banks, even though she's financed by the big banks. You the people better freaking start waking up, man. I'm serious. Because it's like, I'm not just fighting, the Hillarys and the Trumps and the Jeb Bushes and all this other bullshit. I'm fighting the alternative media and the idiots that are being led around by the alternative media. This kid understands these kind of people. I do. Who is that guy? Larry Nichols? I saw him one time on some shit. He was saying he was the guy that was the advisor for the Clintons. I don't think that guy's that bright. I used to advise people. But I hate them. I hate them. So let me put it this way. I think what I'm saying here is dead on balls accurate. But we got a way to beat them. We're not going to have the problem like the American Indian had, where by, the disease of the white man killed them all off. If you had, a million Geronimos out there, or Indian tribes that were like the Seminole Indians and fought back everywhere, there'd be no screwing around with this bullshit. They'd be done. You know, and I'll tell you this is the other thing. To go along, to get along, it don't work either. They used to have what they call the 5 civilized Indian tribes. There was the Cherokee, the Choctaw, the Cree, I think it was the Chippewa, and the Seminole. The only ones that actually fought back after they were actually getting screwed over a whole bunch of times. And they were basically like they adopted the white man's ways, the white man's dress, the Christianity, lived in a log cabins and all that shit. They were still getting screwed over. They fought back hard. Problem is, most people don't fight back hard. And that's what it's going to take. Because we the people, our will is the government. And when you actually say, I want to elect a champion to freaking do everything for me, like Hillary's saying, even if she was the champion, if you give all that to that person, you just gave up your rights. And actually in her case, she's a blatant freaking liar and a communist. And she will throw Israel and the Jews under the bus very easily. She's just like, what's his face, the Secretary of State, you know, the draft dodger with the, freaking drawing a blank here right now. But, you know, I'm drawing a blank on a damn name. I got the picture. I already see him like back in Vietnam days, testifying against the Vietnam War with his 4 Purple Hearts, and his daughter's married to you know, the Iranian high-end person, and the best man at the wedding was the son of the top negotiator for the Iranian deal. So, why am I drawing a blank on this? I don't know. But let me put it to you this way. These guys, all these politicians that are all even suck up to Israel, 99% of them will throw Israel under the bus in a second flat. I would probably be a little more critical of Israel if there wasn't so much freaking blatant hate being shown to Jews left and right. I mean, I like to be a little more fair and square and say, yeah, you're doing a couple things wrong here and there, but come on, man. There's blatant hate being shown to Israel and the Jews, man, big time. Blatant hate. Because they believe all the propaganda is out there. And you know what? When you're in that situation, you got a 20% Muslim population. You ain't seeing what the hell's going on over there. See, this kid actually is tried and true on the side of the Jews in Israel, you know. And you know what? This flag is not some anti-Semitic flag or anti-black, anti-racial flag. It's a Southern flag. It's a flag that meant rebellion against the corporate Wall Street bullshit, which actually owned freaking the political system at the time. And they were going to tax the shit out of them. So anyway, Trump, if you want to think he's going to do you a favor, here, I'll leave you with this thought. Go in one of his restaurants or one of his resorts and see how much he charges you for a meal. That'll tell you how much he's going to do for you. And the shit's expensive as crap, man. Go down to Key West and go order, Key West, Florida, and go order a steak dinner in one of his restaurants down there by the resort. You'll see what a nice guy he is, man. What a nice guy he is. He ain't a nice guy. He's full of shit. Anyway. People are going to hate me for this video. But I'm telling you the truth. You know, I thought he might have been really sincere for a while there. But then I said, as long as he isn't running third party. But he's talking third party again. And I already know what that means. It's like an axiom. It means Hillary wins. And it means he knows it. And he also has it planned that way from day one.